downtown Eastside neighborhood is ground zero for the Troubles. For the past century, the area has been Vancouver's Skid Row, home to a dense network of cheap hotels, bars, brothels, and increasingly homeless encampments and social services offices. It's here, across 10 city blocks, that Vancouver has launched its experiment in harm reduction, opening Canada's first needle exchange in 1988 and North America's first safe injection facility in 2003. Rather than try to disperse the downtown Eastside's social pathologies throughout the region, policymakers have decided to concentrate new subsidized housing construction, welfare services, and drug programs in the neighborhood. Total social spending in the downtown Eastside now amounts to more than $1 million per day. Despite these intensive efforts, the city has failed meaningfully to reduce rates of addiction, homelessness, and criminality in the neighborhood, which remains the epicenter for all overdose deaths in the region. In 2017, the city of Vancouver logged 8,000 overdose calls, with the downtown Eastside responsible for 5,000 of the total. Again, 10 city blocks, even with a population of only a few thousand residents. The DTES, as it's called, the downtown east side of Vancouver, was turned into an open-air social experiment 3 decades ago, where the mad scientists who didn't have to live with the results of their human trials experimented on the most vulnerable amongst us. All this instead of getting them the help they needed to be clean and productive through treatment, deterrence, and mental health supports. We have nearly 2 generations of data here to know government enabling of drug addiction does not work. But it gets worse because BC is now legalizing hard drugs, just enabling people into their graves, either slowly in prolonged suffering or quickly through an expedited overdose. And they're calling it compassion and understanding. Alberta has also been hammered by the opioid crisis, as so many places have been. It was made worse, of course, as it has been, I think, across the world by the societal trauma of the pandemic lockdowns. But Alberta is doing something very different, and I will give credit where it's due. The move away from the NDP liberal policy of government enabling and safe injection sites and safe supply began under the previous Conservative Premier, Jason Kenney. Kenney opened up treatment beds and swatted down the insane NDP idea that the things addicts really need to get better are more drugs, a warm place to do those drugs, and have it all provided by the state. And new Premier Danielle Smith, to her credit, is not just carrying on in the same vein as Kenney, but going even further, and I love to see it. She's going full speed ahead. Everything I'm going to show you, or at least the next 2 things I'm about to show you, is from the first half of this week, and it is Wednesday morning. As I'm writing this monologue that I'm speaking right now, the provincial government is making an announcement in Calgary for more detox and pre-treatment addiction beds on top of the 4,000 beds previously announced that the government is exceeding pace on achieving. Yesterday, the provincial government, so February 14th, Valentine's Day, announced a pilot project in partnership with the Calgary City Police to deploy Alberta sheriffs to assist the Calgary Police in keeping the transit system safe from drug addicts and drug dealers. It's a 3-month pilot project to see if it's effective. Alberta's Public Safety Ministry is deploying an additional 12 sheriffs, and their job is to address social disorder in downtown Calgary. And 2 weeks ago, Public Safety Alberta announced a similar 15-week pilot project with the Edmonton City Police, again deploying a dozen sheriffs to help get a handle on whatever is happening in the downtown core of the capital city. Danielle Smith has even inspired the progressive mayors to walk back some of their own enabling behaviors, especially in Edmonton. Look at this. In an attempt to reduce open drug use in public places, harm reduction contractors are no longer giving syringes and pipes to people in pedways or near transit centers, a change attracting mixed reaction. The quote, clarified approach took effect February 1st because of safety concerns, a city official in charge of the program said in a statement to CTV News Edmonton. We anticipate this clarification will prevent negative interactions between those working in transit spaces and those turning to transit spaces to consume drugs, said Bus Operations Director Ryan Birch. Did you know that the city of Edmonton had been hiring contractors to give out crack pipes in ETS bus shelters? What in God's name is wrong with these people? In every person that gets clean, I see a child who gets her dad back, a mom who doesn't have to worry about her son dying before her, a neighbor who doesn't have to worry about their car being stolen, a family that can finally take their kids to the park without having to worry about stepping on needles. And shame on those people who call it a kindness to foist that misery on so many innocents.
That was an excerpt from the Ezra Levant Show. I'm Ezra Levant. Every weekday, I do a monologue about the topic of the day. Then I interview a fascinating guest either in studio or via Skype. And then I read your mail, whether it's fan mail or hate mail, which is sometimes even more interesting. This is on our premium service, though, called Rebel News Plus. Go to rebelnewsplus.com. It's $8 a month or less if you buy a whole year in advance. You get my show every weeknight, plus Sheila Gunn Reid's show every week. It's called The Gun Show. It's pretty amazing. You know, we rely on you because we do not take a dime from the government. In Canada, that makes us almost unique. So please help us out and help yourself to some great journalism at rebelnewsplus.com.